Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel T-Spot. In this video, until the truces and timely expiration compels Magni to wield the hammer, he fights the giants on the legal front. The Joodles note the increased strength he discovers inside himself, which alters his demeanor. According to Saxa's suggestion, the Joodles support Magni's pranks as he becomes increasingly susceptible to her charms. With the exception of Jens, with whom he rekindles his friendship, Loritz feels abandoned by everyone else. Magni develops a relationship with Saxa, who spellbinds him with a variety of materialistic pleasures, and as a result grows alienated from his family, Signy, and pretty much everyone else. This enables Fjord to carry out his hidden scheme, which ultimately fails. Due to Agnes' haughtiness, the gods reunite, but their partnership is fragile. The battleground is prepared when Wotan helps him come to his senses. Both sides have the option of making peace or continuing the conflict. Everything in Edda seemed to be getting better after an unexpected change of events, but a variety of upsetting news did disturb Agnes tranquilly. He has to confront the predetermined reality that lies ahead as Ragnarok Season 3 comes to an end. How does Little O fare? Loritz releases Little O into the fjord at the conclusion of Ragnarok Season 2. Loritz routinely monitors the Midgard serpent in the third and final season. He frequently visits the rapidly expanding snake and feeds it leftovers from restaurants and other establishments. Little O, who calls the snake Byros, is nonetheless sick of the tasteless meal. Efjer, who is growing more helpless and terrified, starts feeding Little O people, which he murders and tosses into the river for the serpent to eat. The serpent develops a strong love to the human cuisine. Thus his frantic scheme to have Little O murder Magni succeeds. Magni does come into conflict with Little O, and as a result, Magni loses his hammer. He believes that the serpent caused the hammer to sink through the fjord's floor. Loritz, meantime, worries more and more about his son. The Little O is put in jeopardy by Fjord's desperation and the ensuing conflict, even though he just intended to buy himself some time. But at the conclusion of Ragnarok Season 3, everyone is absent from the war, save for Magni, who takes part in it only in his mind. Prior to that, Loritz advises Little O to leave and travel to the deep, faraway waters, explaining that doing so is a normal part of maturing. The location of the Midgard serpent is kept at best vague because it appears Little O has disappeared into the waters. Although the Ragnarok Season 3 finale has a sequence in the midst of the fjord that appears to be shot from Little O's perspective. Do giants perish? The Joodles immediately recognize Magni's usage of his hammer and interpret it as a breach of the ceasefire. When Fjord comes to see Loritz, he starts urging him to properly feed and care for the Midgard snake so that it can kill Magni. In the meanwhile, Magni keeps working to topple the Joodles, if not with a hammer, then at least through the legal channels. To testify against the Joodles, he locates and persuades a witness named Merit, but they have her assassinated. Magni, who is furious, successfully intimidates Ran and Fjord with his hammer. They tremble in horror at even the thought of the hammer. This immediate display of grave terror is tremendously encouraging for Magni. The Joodles struggle to free him from the hammer as he starts terrorizing them with it. Because of the power and influencer connection with him gives her over Fjord and Ran. Saxa manages to subdue him but doesn't take away his hammer. Loritz discovers the hammer when Little O swallows it and spits it out, gives it to Fjord, and Loritz finds it. Magni and the other gods successfully carry out their plot to retrieve Mjolnir. The gods resolve to take part in the impending war that awaits them all. There is no escape for the Joodles, so they join the conflict. Magni, emphasizing the giants' helplessness in the face of Mjolnir's strength, stops them all before the battlefield clash can start and mediates peace instead. No blood is spilled and an arrangement is reached between the parties. The Joodles, giants, must consent to the new world order in favor of dying. With this new arrangement, the firm will operate under a more progressive and improved Edda, with Saxa taking over as CEO and Fjord stepping aside. To adapt to the new circumstances, the corporation quickly stopped the factory's most polluting output. Ran remains the principal in the Ragnarok Season 3 finale, while Fjord starts dating Nora. Saxa is the company's leader, introducing a fresh strategy that is sensible and more ecologically beneficial. Magni and Signy date each other. They do really meet up before Ragnarok Season 3 ends. Magni relinquished control over the Joodles at the start of the season by the use of his hammer. Saxa takes advantage of this, and while under her influence, Magni keeps allowing hubris to cloud his thinking. Saxa satisfies his needs, both monetary and subsequently physical, as he develops a taste for money and becomes materialistic. The bond is shattered, which also affects Magni's connection with Signy, as Magni begins becoming distant from all of his loved ones and the other gods. She requests a break because she is disturbed and perplexed by his unpredictable and unusual behavior. But Magni simply moves on to Saxa and starts a sassy relationship with her without ever calling it quits with Signy, which breaks Signy's heart even more. Wotan is the one who is able to get Magni to emerge from his haughty stupor. He identifies the vision as his own, and Magni can see that he still worries about disappointing Signy and Icehold. He visits Signy at the end of the show and apologizes to her. When she doesn't respond for several days, he texts her again, pleading for her forgiveness, and they eventually meet at the commencement. She first expresses concern that he may act inappropriately again, but eventually decides to welcome him back into her life. She asks him to put up his best effort, and in return, she will do the same. Only then will she become his girlfriend once more. By the conclusion of Ragnarok, they are still hanging around as the former lovers they once were after sharing an embrace. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you for watching. See you soon.